Hey everyone, this is Joe from Big Rig Gamer, and today I want to talk about this article from CBR.com. Indiana Jones 5 breaks even at the box office. That is not true, not true at all, and we're going to go over it here. This article starts off, while Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny didn't quite live up to studio expectations at the box office, the film is not a total bomb, as it has now officially broken even on its exorbitant budget. Now, why is that not true? Well, so far, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is currently sitting at a worldwide box office of $307 million. Now, assuming that movies get 100% of the box office back, then yes, it technically would have covered its production budget because that $294 million budget that has been reported right here, making it the eighth most expensive movie of all time, does not include the marketing budget, which, going off of what Disney tends to spend on this, especially for a movie as big as this one, we're going to be looking at least $100 million, if not somewhere in the neighborhood of $150 million. Wouldn't shock me when we eventually find it out. But for sake of argument, we're going to go with $100 million. So we're looking at about $400 million in total budget, with marketing and production all included. Which, when you include the marketing in there, the worldwide does not even come close. This is still almost $90 million short of even breaking even using the math that Jeremy Dick here decided to use. So the way the box office tends to work, or actually does work for anyone who doesn't know, with your domestic box office, the studio gets about half of that back. The theaters keep the other half. Internationally, it's about 40% going back to the studio and the remaining 60 going back to the theaters. In places like China, that is even it's an even wider gap, with the studios only getting around 25% of the box office if they're lucky. And with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, we can break this down by country here, but in China, 3.2 million. So they're not even going to be making $1 million off this movie in China. So it's a negligible amount, as you can see, for a movie with this kind of budget. So, and when you do the math on these, Indiana Jones has actually only made in revenue about $138 million. And so, as it stands right now, you take the 400 million, take away that 138, and this movie is looking at a loss of $262 million. And that's with us still estimating that marketing budget, which I think is higher than 100. But again, for sake of argument, that's what we're going to go with. Now, the previous biggest loser for box office in Disney's history was John Carter. Now, budget 250 million, added the marketing budget, and it got to about 363 million dollars, with a worldwide box office gross of 284 million dollars. Again, you do the math on that, and you're going to come in at about, let's do the math on it real quick. So we're going to be taking 73 times half. We're going to add that in. And John Carter lost in the neighborhood of $242 million. So as of right now, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is set to lose $20 million more dollars than John Carter did way back in 2012. So, and going back to this list here, the 10 most expensive movies ever made. You can see Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. It's down here at $294 million. And again, when you add that marketing budget, that is going to explode. This is going to be the most expensive movie ever made. But comparing it to the gross box office of some of these other movies that you see here, for example, uh, on Stranger Tides, made over $1 billion. It broke even, made a little bit of money. Avengers: Age of Ultron, 1.4 billion. Endgame, obviously 2.8 billion, most successful movie ever made. Avatar: Way of Water, wildly successful, 2.3 billion. Infinity War, 2 billion. At World's End made 961 million. Justice League was I mean, it might as well have been a flop. At this budget, you're not looking to break even. You are looking to make a profit in the neighborhood of hundreds of millions of dollars. You do not break even on a movie with a $300 million budget, which is basically what Justice League did. Then you get Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, Solo, a Star Wars story, another major flop for Disney, but nowhere near what Indiana Jones is about to do. And then Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, also did over $1 billion. So there you have it. That's how the box office breakdown is going to go, and how they are desperately trying to cover up just how bad this is for Disney. And this is the failure that Disney needed to really, have people wake up to just how bad they're getting, because this isn't like their previous movies where they can rather blame it all the pandemic, no one's going to the theaters, or all of our fans are racist bigots who they just don't want to go see the lead because, your lead is Harrison Ford, an old white guy. You can't really call somebody racist for not wanting to go see him. So, with Indiana Jones and how bad this is going to fail, Disney is just going to have to sit there and eat it. And more importantly, Lucasfilm is going to have to sit there and just eat it. They're just going to have to realize that, okay, yes, this is just how garbage our movies that we're putting out are. And to be honest, this is a very good thing. It's more bittersweet that it took all of our favorite franchises being driven into the dirt. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Marvel, uh, all of these franchises have just been trashed so thoroughly that, I mean, they're dead now. I mean, there's no really bringing any of them back at this point. It's sad to see, but with the massive failure that Indiana Jones is going to be, maybe people will finally wake up and notice, like, oh, hey, this isn't good. Things need to change. And with a massive company like Disney, that isn't going to happen. But there are some other signs that uh, change is coming and is going to be good. All you got to look at is a movie like Sound of Freedom. Indie film had a budget of 14.5 million, non-existent marketing, and so far domestic budget doesn't have an international release yet, but domestic budget of 96 million. That's going to get over 100 million over this weekend. So you're looking at 50 million dollars in revenue, and so it is a massive success for its budget. And as you can see here, in the number of theaters it's been seen in, it debuted in 2,634 theaters, and that number has only grown. Normally, you see movies, they just go down in theaters as more box office, or as more blockbusters come out and start eating up the theaters. And theaters just want to get whatever the new movie is in so they can maximize their profit. But Sound of Freedom is going the opposite direction. It's growing in the number of theaters that it's seeing, because it is. Here's the average per theater. You can see it has stayed very consistent, been making more and more money as it stays in theaters. The word of mouth on this movie is incredible. And obviously, just the story of this movie is absolutely incredible as well, based on a true story, on a very real issue that we're all facing. So it is good to see that a lot of these, big box office movies that are being pushed by Disney, Warner Bros., they're all failing. People are finally just waking up and saying, you know what, this stuff is just not good anymore. And then you embrace indie films like this. But anyway, thanks guys for sticking around this long. I know I went on a bit of a tangent there at the end, but I just wanted to break down how the box office works, and how the media's mainstream media, they're going to be trying to spin this. But as long as we can get this information out there so people can start looking at it for themselves and realizing, oh, okay, I've been lied to. Do your own research. But again, thank you. If you enjoyed what I was talking about, leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment for me, so let me know how I did and what you think of all this. Till next time, guys. Have a good one.